on it.
I heard on your side what you had to say. I listened for a second.
It wasn't my side. I read the Bible, so that was whose side, bro? You had the Bible with you, so I know you believe that's God's word, right?
Well, my thing is, what about when he told Abraham about his son Ishmael? He said, I will raise up a great nation.
Yeah, the Arabs is a big, great nation. They rule most of the east coast of the world. Yeah, Arabs, who do you think they pray to? Ishmael, Muhammad, they know their forefathers.
Give me Genesis 17. Real fast, big man. Let's just clear up the whole thing about Ishmael and
Book of Genesis, chapter 17 and verse 20.
no, start at 3.
Verse 3. And Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying,
We're going to sum up the story, right? Abraham's an old man. Sarah's an old woman, right? She's barren at the time. So God gave the promise to Abraham that he'll have a child. But when he read in Romans 9, it gave you the example between the children of the flesh and the children of promise. If he would have read it from 9 and 1, it would give you an example that yes, Ishmael is a son of Abraham, but Ishmael wasn't given no promises and no covenant. But Isaac was given the promise and Isaac was given the covenant. And later on down in that chapter, that Ishmael was someone that was a child of the flesh, but not of the promise, because Isaac was. Now watch this, come on.
verse 4. As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations.
Now you would think because Abraham had children by Keturah, he had a child from Hagar, and he also had a child from Sarah, that it means that all these other nations are his children. But he's talking about these nations because according to the scriptures say that. Huh?
You use the word adopted, right?
Yes, when you read
Jews got what? Scattered abroad, right?
say it again?
Jews got, so the purest of the Jews, those were originally Jews, right? They all got what? Scattered abroad. And they went to
no,
what?
not just the Jews.
Other
all
nations.
Of Israel. All of Israel.
Yeah, but you had two sides of Israel. You had Judah, then you had the other side, which was considered Israel.
Listen,
but they were
Judah is the only ones that make up the Jews, brother. That's it. That's one
You
tribe.
said we all got adopted.
No, adopted because we got cast away. Now, if you read
Unbelief.
Romans 9 and 1 all the way through, then we would have had to
Got
go to
cast
Galatians
away
4.
'cause of
Hold up,
unbelief.
brother. Because you're saying
I let
things.
you spoke.
Listen, you're
I
saying.
let you speak, right?
I didn't even get a chance to speak. We're still on
I ain't
Ishmael.
I ain't get a chance to speak.
Hold on, but listen, we're still on Ishmael, right?
All in the day, God bless you.
We're still on Ishmael, right?
All in the day, and God bless you.
Because you don't want to hear it. Now, I'm going to ask you one question. The Jews, right? The Jews, what color were they real fast? What did they look like? What they look like, bro? Real
That's all I got to
fast.
say.
I got a question for you, bro. What did they look like? Real fast, that's it. That's it.
There ain't no bitches in the Bible.
What? Say it again?
Ain't no bitches in the Bible. We have word scriptures of a dark hue color, which the word hue means of color.
Can you just give me a plain, what would they look like, brother? That's it. It'll confuse a little child can answer the question.
I don't know. I just know.
What
hue
color
means
is red?
That could be like, so you gotta do
Red, right? That's a simple question. The kid can answer it. We don't need the extra stuff, but we're just going to go anyway. Keep reading. So in case it confused somebody else, keep reading about Ishmael, and then we'll go on to other things.
Verse 5. Neither shall thy name anymore be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham. For a father of many nations have I made thee.
Because it seems as if all of these nations belong to Abraham and all of these nations is blessed, but nobody's reading the Bible because the answers is still in the same chapter of who these nations that he's talking about. Come on.
And I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee.
Now jump over to 15 real quick, because like the brother had said, he said that Ishmael was blessed. Many kings came out of Ishmael, but that's not what God is talking to Abraham about. Those many kings is the 12 tribes of Israel. Come on.
Verse 15. And God said unto Abraham, as for Sarai thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall her name be. And I will bless her, and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations.
Hold up, real fast. Sarah, how many children did Sarah have? She only had one child. She only had one child. So those many nations that God was explaining to Abraham was the 12 tribes of Israel. We're going to go on and prove it. Come on, finish it.
Kings of people shall be of her.
Now jump back over to 7. We just need to sum things up, because remember, this is thousands of years of history in this book. It takes a lot longer for us to go through it step by step, and you'll never get it out within an hour of time or 20 minutes, because most people are in a rush to do nothing. Most people are in a rush on the Sabbath day to get to a cookout. Most people are in a rush just to get home and watch TV. We're not in a rush. We're here to wake our people up so we can get the kingdom. So we'll be out here all day to teach these laws, statutes, and commandments. Come on, finish it.
Verse 7, and I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed.
Oh, listen. He said between me, thee, and thy seed. Let's find out who the seed is.
And thy seed after thee and their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto them, and to thy seed after thee.
Come on.
I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God.
Give me Genesis 22 and 2. Genesis 22 and 2. This say explain a lot. Let me get there real quick.
The book of Genesis, chapter 22 and verse 2. And he said, take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah.
Let's start at 1.
Verse 1. And it came to pass after these things, that God did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, behold, here I am.
All right, so we can get the topic of discussion that God is still talking to Abraham. Come on.
And he said, take now thy son.
Okay, at this time, how many sons did Abraham have? He had Ishmael and he had Isaac. But understand, there was a specific way that God referred to Isaac. Watch.
Take now thy son, thine only son.
But technically is Isaac Abraham's only son? No. But why does God call Isaac Abraham's only son? That's something we should be pondering upon. Go ahead.
Whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee.
Now go back to Genesis 17 and 7.
Book of Genesis chapter 17 and verse 7. I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee and their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee and to thy
jump over to 19. Finish that out.
and to thy seed after thee. Verse 19. And God said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him.
All right, now Romans 9 and 1. Just so we clarify the situation.
The book of Romans chapter 9 and verse 1. I say the truth in Christ, I lie not. My conscience also bearing me witness in the Holy Ghost, that I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart. For I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh.
So it's understood that Paul's saying that he wished he could take on all the curses of his brethren, his kinsmen, according to the flesh. So if as an example, say there was a crime committed and the 911 operator is asking, or dispatch is asking the police, there's a suspect. What's his flesh tone? And And the so-called white man or the cop or whoever he is say he's a dark flesh tone. What is he saying you are? Or the perpetrator is?
Exactly, and that's the problem. Because
think about it. A dark flesh tone or a light flesh tone. He's talking of a specific person. So he's saying of my flesh. Read that again.
For I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh.
So it's talking about his flesh tone, his people, according to his flesh. Like you are your father and your mother's flesh and blood, right? Your son or daughter is your flesh and blood. So he's telling you he wish he could be accursed for his brethren, his kinmen, which also means, like what the word kin, what does that mean? Your family. Like we call it down south kinfolk. A lot of older people up here call it kinfolk. He's saying his brethren, which we call one another my brother, my sister. We know who we're talking about. Does that my brother or my sister extend over to another nation? Now you might use it as a term of endearment, but the depth, the root of the word, when you say my brother, we're talking about our own kind, my sister, because those are things that was invented in the 60s, right? You know, what's up, brother, man, sister? We knew what it meant then. Now it's a blurred line, but technically we understand what it means. So my brethren, my kinsmen, my family, according to the flesh, my flesh and bone, read it,
who are Israelites.
So there's only one nation of people on the planet that are Israelites. Because we're reading the book of Romans. Are the Romans Israelites? No. Are the Greeks Israelites? No. Is anybody else Israelites? No. Come on.
To whom pertaineth the adoption.
What is the adoption? Galatians 4. Who pertaineth the adoption? It's like if a person that's an orphan and they get adopted, they become a member of a family. Now that adopted child has a father and a mother, right? We've been orphans for so long. We're orphaned because we don't have no home to go to. Where's our homeland at? See, we were taught that Africa was our homeland, but technically we can't even go back to Africa because the Africans don't even own Africa. The white man is sucking Africa dry of their oil, of their diamonds. They make Africans, however you mine for diamonds, they make a mine for diamonds day and night, but do they reap the benefits of the Hope Diamond and all the diamond industry? No, but all of the wealth that comes is coming from that place. But these Africans cannot reap the benefits of it. Oil, like 65% of the world's oil come from West Africa. Why are they broke? Why are their houses still mud huts? Because they don't own that land either. The so-called white man own it because the Most High put that like that. Come on.
The book of Galatians chapter 4 and verse 4. But when the fullness of the time was come, God sent forth his son, made of a woman, made under the law, to redeem them that were under the law, that we might receive the adoption of sons.
That we might receive the adoptions of sons. Why? Because God had turned his back on us. God turned his back on us. This is why so many people right now don't believe in God. Because there's a problem with us. But what we got to realize that we went into slavery for the very reason of not following God's law, statutes, and commandments. Finish it out.
And because ye are sons, God hath sent forth the Spirit of his Son into your hearts, crying, Abba, Father. Wherefore thou art no more a servant, but a son. And if a son, then an heir of God through Christ.
Give me Genesis 21, real fast.
The book of Genesis.
You start at 9.
Chapter 21 in verse 9. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian,
because Ishmael was Abraham's son. Come on.
which she had borne unto Abraham, mocking. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman.
Why is Hagar mocking? Because she had a child, whereas Sarah was barren. But she didn't understand that God already made a promise to Sarah that she would have a child and his covenant would go through that child, which is Isaac, our forefather. Come on.
Cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son.
Come on.
Even with Isaac. And the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight because his son. And God.
Now Abraham loved Ishmael. Abraham loved Ishmael. Come on.
And God said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous in thy sight because of thy land, and because of thy bondwoman. In all that Sarah hath said unto thee, hearken unto her voice. For in Isaac shall thy seed be called.
In Isaac shall thy seed be called. That's most important. It's not as important that Abraham had a child named Ishmael. The most important thing is that Isaac is the child that the seed would be called. That seed is you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans.
That's right.
You make up the 12 tribes of Israel.
Right.
That's what's most important. Be grateful that you are an Israelite, that the promises, the glory, the covenants belong to you. Come on.
And also the son of the bondwoman will I make a nation, because he is thy seed.
So God allowed Ishmael to grow into a mighty nation. Why? Because he was Abraham's seed, but that's it. There was no other promises.
Shalom, Israel. I'm Elder Nathaniel, Israel United in Christ. YouTube likes to shut our channels down, as some of you have noticed, ever so often. Subscribing to join iuic will assure you will always stay connected to our YouTube accounts. We want to do our best to make sure this truth gets out. Please click and join our subscriber YouTube channel called Join iuic to stay linked to all of our videos. So again, please make sure you subscribe to this Join iuic channel to get your latest updates on all our YouTube channels. Shalom.